Monday, August 10, 2020. The state of Iowa wakes up to what looks like a picture-perfect morning. In the agricultural world, they call this million-dollar weather. The humidity is high, hanging heavy over the fields, the soil is rich and dark, and the corn, the absolute lifeblood of the Midwest economy, is standing 7 feet tall. It is weeks away from harvest, a sea of green stretching as far as the eye can see. Farmers in Marshalltown and Cedar Rapids check their equipment, drinking their morning coffee, looking at forecasts that seem entirely routine. A cluster of storms is drifting out of South Dakota, but in the Midwest, thunderstorms are as common as the sunrise. They are usually scattered, short-lived, and manageable. Nobody cancels their plans. Nobody boards up their windows. The radar simply shows a blob of blue and green, a standard rain event moving east, suggesting nothing more than a wet afternoon. But 3 miles above the ground, an invisible and catastrophic mechanism is locking into place. The atmosphere is about to perform a rare and violent trick. A massive pool of cold, dry air from the upper atmosphere begins to sink rapidly, crashing into the warm, moist air rising from the cornfields below. This collision creates a shockwave, a phenomenon meteorologists call the rear inflow jet. Think of it as a turbocharger attached to a thunderstorm. Instead of the storm simply drifting with the wind begins to drive the storm from behind. By 9 a.m., the system crosses the Missouri River, and instead of dissipating as most morning storms do, it begins to organize. It is growing, feeding on the heat of the day, and it is picking up speed with every passing mile. The first sign that something is wrong isn't the wind, it is the color of the world. As the storm crosses into western Iowa, the sky undergoes a terrifying transformation. People stop their cars on the highways to take pictures, not of a tornado, but of the light itself. The sky turns a sickly, deep turquoise, a bruised green that feels underwater. This color is a warning. It means the clouds are so dense with water and hail that they are refracting sunlight like a massive prism. Beneath that alien green sky, the radar signature changes shape. It is no longer a shapeless blob. It curves. It bends outward into a solid line. This is the bow echo. It is the signature of a derecho. A straight-line windstorm that can cover more ground than a hurricane and strike faster than a tornado. At 10:30 a.m., the National Weather Service issues a warning, but the numbers don't seem to make sense to those reading them. 70 miles per hour? 80? Within minutes, reports come in of gusts hitting 100. This is not a localized event targeting a single town. The storm front is now 40 miles wide. It is a solid, impenetrable wall of wind, moving at highway speeds, sweeping across the state like a squeegee across a windshield. And it is aiming directly for the most densely populated areas of the state. At 12:30 p.m., the derecho slams into Cedar Rapids. Usually, a thunderstorm lasts 20 minutes. This one lasts for 45. For 3/4 of an hour, the city is subjected to sustained winds of over 100 miles per hour, with gusts peaking at 140. To put that number in perspective, 140 miles per hour is the equivalent of a Category 4 hurricane. But unlike a hurricane, which gives you days of warning and tracking, this monster gave residents about 15 minutes. The physics of this wind are relentless. It doesn't swirl, it pushes. It finds every weak point in a structure and leans on it until it fails. Roofs aren't torn off tile by tile, they are peeled back like the lid of a sardine can. In the agricultural districts, the destruction is even more violent and scientifically fascinating. Grain bins, massive cylinders of corrugated steel designed to hold tons of corn, face a pressure differential they cannot survive. As the wind screams past them at 140 miles per hour, the air pressure on the outside drops instantly. The bins don't blow away. They implode. They crumple inward, twisting into unrecognizable metal sculptures, sounding like a car crash that never ends. Inside the homes, families huddle in basements, their ears popping from the drastic pressure changes. The power grid begins to fail. Not just a blown fuse, but a systemic collapse. Transmission towers, built of thick steel lattice to withstand decades of weather, are folded in half like wet cardboard. One by one, the lights of Iowa go out. By 1 p.m., over 1 million people are plunged into a pre-industrial darkness. When the wind finally dies down, the silence that follows is heavy and disturbing. Farmers step out of their storm shelters to check their crops, and what they see defies belief. 14 million acres. That is the area of land that was destroyed or severely damaged. The corn stalks, which stood 7 feet tall that morning, are now horizontal, pinned to the earth in a perfect, uniform direction. It looks as if a giant steamroller has driven over the entire county. The harvest is gone. The investment of a lifetime, wiped out in the span of a lunch break. The true scale of the horror, however, is only visible from space. Satellite images taken the next day revealed the magnitude of the event. You can see the path of the Derecho clearly. A scar of brown earth cutting through the green heart of America. It looks less like weather damage and more like the aftermath of a nuclear shockwave. In the days that followed, Iowa became an island. No internet. No cell service. No power. Gas pumps wouldn't work. Refrigerators warmed up. The land hurricane had severed the modern world's lifelines. The story of the 2020 Derecho is not just about the $11 billion in damage, making it the costliest thunderstorm in U.S. history. It is about the fragility of our systems against the raw, evolving power of nature. We build for the climate we know. But this storm proved that the climate is changing, and it is capable of generating surprises that our engineering is not ready for. The wind has stopped. The silos are being rebuilt. The corn will grow again. But for everyone who looked up at that green sky on August 10th, the horizon will never look quite the same. They know now that the most dangerous storms don't always have names. Sometimes, they just appear out of the blue, turn the sky green, and change everything in an instant.